There's no better way to start off this video than getting straight to the point, which is that elderly drivers are really dangerous. Now, I know what you're thinking. What in the world are you on about, Carson? Because everyone knows that people who are on their phones while driving are unquestionably the most dangerous driver that's out there. Wrong. People who are on their phones while driving, that is an action that can be corrected. And I speak from experience. I recently got pulled over for being on my phone. It's moments like that where I think to myself that it takes being dumb to be smart, which is absolutely what that was. And that's actually something that I kind of live by. And what I mean by that is you need to make mistakes to be smarter in life, which was a learning lesson for me. But I didn't start making this video to talk about my speeding ticket. No, I wanted to start talking about the reason why I believe elderly drivers are the most dangerous driver that's out there. Now, if I may be serious here for a moment, this is going to actually be a very serious video. This isn't, like my conventional, joking and, all that. This is actually going to be some kind of health and safety type of video that I'm going to be making because I genuinely care about the road network. I truly think that it can only be a successful thing if every driver on it is working and, operating at 100% functionality. I truly believe that the most dangerous type of driver is someone who's an elderly driver. And I have evidence to back this up. A couple of months ago, a friend of mine recently got rear-ended by an elderly couple driving an almost brand new BMW. Don't know the model, but BMW. And this is what happened. I mean, look at the damage. Now, I don't know if that's what actually happened, but the fact that, there was an elderly person driving leads me to believe that this person probably lost their senses or they, just couldn't judge the braking distance in time, and as a result, they rear-ended my friend here. And this just brings me on to my next point, which is that I truly think that anyone who's above the age of 70 should not be allowed to drive because they are a road hazard, pretty much. They are a danger to themselves, to other drivers, to their surroundings, and just overall an inconvenience. Now, I know what you're probably thinking is, okay, so you made your point. What do you think should happen with these elderly people who are still on the road? I am not a lawyer. I don't know the law, but allow me please to kind of cook up an idea here. Let me just cook here for a minute. For anyone who's 70 years or older, there needs to be a system to test their senses and basically kind of just retake the driver's test. It's a necessity, I believe, with elderly people because everyone kind of knows this already, but, they just start to lose their senses. They're bad at judging distance. They, are bad at, making the right choices. The reaction time is slow or, whatever. But I truly believe that there is just no way of getting around the fact that they need to be tested. Let me just kind of make a scenario here. Let's say that your parents are still alive, but they are still driving and, they are moderately okay at driving. Well, then they should still be tested because there's still that, I guess, lack of believing that they actually can drive well on their own. Now, if they pass the test, then that means that they can continue to have their license until they have to retake the test again. And this either could be like a monthly thing or a yearly thing. Personally, I think it should happen monthly or like maybe every 3 months. I don't know. If they don't pass the test, then that means that their license is taken away because that just means that they are just so far gone from their driving capability that they're a hazard to the road. They're a danger to everyone and themselves. And you're probably thinking, okay, what if that elderly person still has a job? What if they're not retired yet? Well, then that person is automatically assigned to a person who is like an Uber, sort of their own private Uber. Now, this could be like a new system that's developed. I don't know. It's an idea. But basically, this elderly person could have their own privately assigned Uber driver if, God forbid, they don't have their kids around or, they're just so far away. They need a designated driver to help them out. It doesn't have to be like a roommate sort of situation. It could just be like you pay this guy, not daily, obviously, but like monthly. So like it could be like a monthly thing that you pay this guy to drive you wherever it is that you need to go. That's their job. It's basically like an Uber, but like a little bit different. They're like privately owned. Not owned, but they're like, it's like a private business sort of thing. And you're basically a designated driver for like one person, that being the person who lost their license. Now, I will just reinforce again that I truly care about the road safety. A lot of us have, older parents. My dad is in his 60s. My mom is approaching 60. And I don't want to see them, I don't want to see their cars turned upside down. My grandmother went through that and she ended up dying. I never got a chance to meet her. I don't want that fate to happen to everyone who does still have grandparents. If your grandparents are still driving, and if they are completely capable of still driving perfectly, their senses are good, their judging of distance and reaction times are completely, synchronized, then that's great. But for anyone whose grandparents are just, they're just sort of losing their senses, they just are not able to drive the way they used to, well, then, frankly, they need to be tested, and if they don't pass the test, their licenses need to be taken away, because that is several lives saved from future accidents. And this is the point that I'm trying to get across, because a couple of nights ago, I just went ballistically insane because this old guy would not move. And I thought it was maybe because, there were some cars coming that I didn't see. But as I got closer, there were no cars coming, and this guy was just old. He was holding up the line. It was driving me nuts. It was driving everyone behind me nuts. And this guy's reaction time, I mean, I could have sworn that this guy was about to, basically turn right into this Lexus that was driving by. God knows how he didn't cause an accident, because he was like 2 inches away from clipping this like Lexus's bumper. I don't know how he didn't hit it, but this is the point that I'm trying to get across, is that old drivers, they just should not belong on the road. Above a certain age, I mean. I truly believe that anyone who's above the age of 70, they need to be tested, because it will save lives, and it will also prevent bad things happening to the old person and other families in the future. There's a whole system here that I could go on forever about explaining, but it's making me lose my mind just talking about it. But the point that I'm trying to get across is that I think elderly drivers just should not belong on the road, and that this is why I think they are more dangerous than someone on a phone, because that action can be corrected, but aging can't. Aging is a forever thing. We're not like Viltrumites, where we can age for hundreds of years and still be in our prime. We're not made like that, unfortunately. This is my message that I'm trying to get across to you guys, saying, basically, if you see an old driver, avoid them as much as you can, because they could be a hazard to you and a hazard to themselves. But yeah, that's basically about it. Thank you for watching.